Welcome to the High Achieving Female Podcast, powered by Know, where we believe high achieving female leaders deserve to be known. Here, you're going to get the tips, tools, and inspiration you need to network, grow, scale, and balance your business, career, and life.
Okay. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thanks for making time for me and the family.
I know.
For this very important day, which is the day of your birth. So
When an icon was born.
Thanks so much. I'm so excited to have you here today. So we met recently and you sat on our panel at the Focus Conference here in Charlotte. And I was just so amazed by those gems you were dropping, my friend.
No.
And I knew that we needed to have a follow-up conversation. So I'm so excited. Let's just jump right in. Let's just get started. Who are you? What do you do? Describe yourself to us.
Yeah. So mom of four, entrepreneur, full-time, investor, part-time. I invest in franchises, real estate, and startups. Everything has to have an angle of women and people of color. So I've invested over $1 million in that mission far. And then lastly, I'm a podcaster, and my podcast is called Only Moms.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So you're doing a lot.
I'm doing everything. I can't add.
I do like to say we're doing the most.
Yes.
But I want to talk about how you got there, because I felt I feel like when people are like, I'm an investor, I'm a serial entrepreneur, I'm highly I have a large portfolio, I have a podcast, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm doing all the things. Sometimes people are like, wait, what? And tell me more. Right.
Yeah.
So let's just start going into a little bit about let's talk about the backstory of Macie. So you were in finance.
Yep.
Early in your career.
Mm-hmm. I dropped out of college after my first semester and got hired on at Wells Fargo as a part-time teller.
Okay.
And I worked my way up the corporate ladder for about 7-8 years. Where I ended my career was in the business banking department. I moved about every 2 years. So I was in Iowa City, Iowa. I was in Nashville, Tennessee, Charlotte, San Francisco, New York, all over the place. But when you're young and you can just take a job anywhere because you don't have any attachments, then it was really great for my career. And then, Wells Fargo went through their lawsuit, and I just felt like in my heart and in my soul, I already wasn't excited about what the next promotion would be for me. And it was the perfect time, ethically, to walk away from such a giant scandal that made, national news. And that's when I became an entrepreneur.
I love that. Okay. So talk about you go from finance girly, corporate girl to corporate dropout to entrepreneur. I can only imagine that that's probably, it's a whole different mindset. So how did you always want to be an entrepreneur? Did you fall into it? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's crazy because I still tell my kids, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Right. And I grew up with a single mom, really poor, government housing. I didn't ever know what I wanted to be, but I knew something in me knew that I want to be successful. And I was always a hard worker, right? When I was 8 or 9 years old, I got in trouble because I used my allowance to buy some hamsters. I bred them, rode my bike to the pet shop, and sold the babies to the pet shop. And I swear they probably got a great deal. But my mom shut that shit down. She was like, no, you're not running a hamster mill out of your bedroom. This is and I tried to do the same thing with sugar gliders. I don't know if you know, they're like a little pocket monkey. And the price tag on those was phenomenal. But my mom was like, you're not getting a second one. I know what you're doing. And it's enough.
You're flipping and turning it.
Yeah. And I was like, you know how expensive these. She was not for it. So I've always had that entrepreneur hustle in me, which is why I think I did so well at an organization that if you worked really hard and you could make these aggressive sales numbers, you would succeed. And so that's why I think I climbed that Wells Fargo corporate ladder so quickly. But I think when it didn't serve me any longer, I wasn't afraid of entrepreneurship because I had already learned how to juggle autonomy, a book of business, a territory, all of those things. But I definitely made so many mistakes with my first company.
Okay, I love that. Let's go into that.
Yeah.
That's really where I want to go.
Yeah, let's go.
The struggles, the pains. So many people who maybe are on the outside looking in, or they're on this journey of like, oh, I want to be great. Right. Well, what is great? And I think like part of what I love talking about, especially with female founders and investors and women who are doing incredible things, it's like along the way, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times you see where you start. Right. They start here and then they're here. But like, what's that messy middle look like? What are those things I wish I would have done? And then sharing those nuggets. So your first company was a tech company.
Yes. So we mobilized the beauty industry. So with me moving all the time, one of my biggest pain points was finding a new nail technician and being able to see their work, right? Most of the places that you go, like they don't really have an online presence unless it's one individual nail style, like technician. And it just was such a pain to go and then have to wait 2 weeks if you didn't like your nails to like go somewhere else and pay to get done again. And so like, all right, well, let me solve this problem. So pretty much creating Uber for the salons and whatnot. So if you're a hairstylist, barber, nail technician, you can be on our platform. And we made a pretty big splash when we launched. If you've heard of Glam Squad, we were one of their competes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. One thing that we did differently is that when you pulled us up, there would be a stack ranking of all of the nail technicians and their profiles and whatnot. So you could actually select who you wanted to come. You could be more selective, which was where we kind of exposed our flank, is that you could see the nail technicians or the stylists, and you're technically not allowed to mobilize that license. So, the beauty industry is regulated. And I think that, you know, for me being so jumpy and eager and excited, and you do a due diligence, but I did not do it deep enough. Right. And so we built an entire app. We self-funded, we launched it, we made a splash, and then we got a cease and desist.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So I became a lobbyist. I was like, you know what? Who cares? I'll go change the law. I'll make this.
Because I love this. You're like, I don't think so. Let's go change the law.
Well, I thought when I started looking at the law and I started looking at the fees and stuff, these things hadn't been changed since the 80s.
Right.
And I'm like, first of all, you guys need a refresh anyways. If I can help the government make money, why wouldn't they then take to this platform? And now in every single state, I have a leg up on the Glam Squads, all of my competitors, because they have to go through us. We house like the licensing. This is where they can come and do checkups and make sure that all the education is up to date, right? Where they can collect their fees for all of these things. And so I thought it made sense. It's a lot harder to change a law than I expected, especially when you don't live in the city where all the law changing happens. So I was having to drive.
I was going to say, because you were launched where? Where was Charlotte launched? It was just Charlotte that you were launched at this point?
Just Charlotte, which meant I had to drive to Raleigh, North Carolina to lobby, which is a 2.5 with no traffic drive.
Right.
Which was, it just really started to drain me. And so I met a couple probably a year before this actually happened. I had met them, but they reached back out to me and wanted to jump on a call. I met them at an investor event. We were going to attempt a fundraising round. So along with changing the law, I was like, let me start diving in to investors. Like, what is this going to look like for us? And it was a couple out of Canada. They reached out. They wanted to build an app that was very similar to ours. They didn't have tech experience. And so then, you know, that like grimy sales girl in me, I was like, okay, great. And I just started doing a deep diving call. Yeah. And what I did is went to my CTO and I'm like, we need to make these minor changes. And I just sold the technology to them, like a turnkey solution.
Nice.
Right.
Thanks.
I knew their budget because it was a really intimate call that they were like really wanting to gather information. And I was also gathering information. So I felt like I came back to the table with a number that we felt good with, they felt good with. And it was like, done deal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And that was it. And then, okay, so talk to me about like the time frame. How long was that? How long were you in it?
2.5 years.
2.5 years
company. And I'm telling you, the transition out of corporate into entrepreneurship was very hard. I left way too early. My car was almost repossessed. I'm telling you, like, it was a wild ride.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so why not give up? Why not give up and say like, okay, this is way harder than I expected. So I'm back to corporate. I go.
Um, that's just not in my personality. I don't think that that was ever even a thought for me. I knew if I went back to corporate America, it was going to be to sustain my company. And that's what I encourage all new entrepreneurs. It's like, I know you feel like this job is draining you, but it's also a job that you can probably do with your eyes closed.
Right.
And so you need to open your eyes back up and stop using brain power so much on your job and more so on focusing on how they're running their actual company for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Right. If this means that you're now extracting, H&R templates, one-on-one management templates, things like that are going to make your company better. This is not a lost cause for you to still be there.
I love that you're saying that, because this is so important, I think, for the side hustlers or the women who are like, oh, I have to choose one, or I'm racing so hard just so I can quit my 9 to 5 or drop out of corporate, but ultimately you're saying stay there as long as you can. Stack some cash, get everything from that, corporate training, the mindset for the big companies, like get everything you can,
everything.
And
even when you feel like you can't do it, use that money to hire an assistant. This can be a virtual assistant that you get on Fiverr, that you get on, hire someone that is, and it may take you 1 to 3 to 5 people that you cycle through until you find that perfect fit. Right. But hire that person so you can still maintain your health insurance, maintain your paycheck, the stability that you're going to keep from that job. I'm telling you, when you come out there on your own as an entrepreneur, it is crazy. And like, just don't leave too early.
Well, and you're working now, and we'll get into this in a little bit, but you're working with a lot of female founders on as the investor, on the investing side. And so you're dealing with people who have the big dream, who maybe aren't ready to exit their corporate lives, or maybe they exited too quickly and now they're seeking funding or whatever. I'm sure you see so many opportunities and so many pitches. And so that's some really solid advice for, I think, someone who's really just getting started. Like, stay with it and don't, because I think at the end of the day, when we leave too early, then you're just like broke and you're exhausted. And you feel like you're trying to make something happen and you feel like everything's against you. And if you leave with a nice little nest egg and you've gotten to a certain point, then it makes things a lot easier, right?
I also think too, like, it's interesting because if you go into a fundraising round, you are going to have to sell against that. Most investors want to see that the entrepreneur is full-time. Well, I haven't brought in any funding. Not everyone is born with a trust fund. So you are going to have to sell against that. I'd say come confidently and know when you hit this investment, when you hit this number in sales or whatever it is, when you're exiting corporate America.
Right.
Have a solid plan there.
Yeah.
Because if you plan on fundraising, you will have to sell against it. But if you're in your corporate job, then you may not have to fundraise.
Correct. Right. And you don't have to take money so fast. You don't have to do friends and family and all of that, because you have a funding vehicle, right? In your daily 9 to 5. I love that you said that. Okay. So you sell the tech company, you sell the brand. What an incredible idea, by the way. I love people who are like, there's a need, we need this. And then you go off and you're doing it. And then, you know what? It's challenging. It's maybe not in alignment with you anymore. And then so off it goes.
Yep.
Talk to me about how you knew the right time to let it go or to move on, or whatever terminology you like to use. Let's talk about that. How did you know?
Yeah. I mean, the lobbying really was killing my passion. I didn't come into entrepreneurship as a lobbyist. I had never lobbied before. It was draining me. It felt very defeating. And so I think that when I started to lose my passion, I think the timing really aligned for me, and understanding, like I said, the salesperson in me, that was really my only skill. I had my only big girl job was with Wells Fargo, where we were trained, and it was embedded in us to aggressively sell. And so for me, it felt right. But even before they approached me, I knew I was losing steam.
Yeah.
And so I think when it no longer serves you, that's when you have to sit down with yourself and make those types of decisions. And it doesn't mean that you failed as an entrepreneur. I think this is so important that
I agree.
Everyone thinks like, oh, this and that. Do you want to know how many failed companies you may have before you have this, like your moment? And it's crazy because even before the tech company, which is the only one that in these conversations that I have with people that we talk about, I had probably 3 or 4 other companies that were ideas that like we moved the needle a little bit, and then for whatever reason it didn't happen. And it's like franchise consultant. I like wanted to buy a window washing company, like all of these very unsexy, like how am I going to do this? Figure it out. And my business partner, best friend, who I started the tech company with, was on all of those journeys with me. Those are just the ones that no one ever saw.
Right. Oh, that's so good. And such an important thing to like know. And, but you don't stop trying. You don't stop going.
Yes.
Something hits, right? Something will hit.
You could be 24 hours away from your big break.
That's it.
You just have to believe that you are worthy and keep putting the work in.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And so from the tech company, you exited that and with a nice check, right? So is this when you start investing, or is this when you create does this like create the passion for women and people of color and businesses? And so talk a little bit about what happened next.
Yeah. So what happened next was I actually went through like a little hole of depression. I felt like I had put my entire identity into this company and then it was gone. Right. And I didn't have the exit, this like 20, 30 multiple exit. Right. Like I sold it to a couple that wanted to start a technology company. And so I had to sit there and first thing I had to figure out what to do with the money. And I didn't have enough money that it was like I could start making all of these moves. So I convinced my team that I was going to take all of the money rather than pay everyone out and do a few peer-to-peer lending deals. And so what I did is I found some, like the industry that I worked within was more like construction, because what they need is cash on hand to go and make, like when they win a deal, to go and start the work. And then they get paid out. And most of these are city contracts. Like if they do road work, bridge work, sidewalks, stuff like that.
Hold on. This is like in such a different industry. Hold on. Just stop here. We literally went from like tech and beauty to like construction and road work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So normally they can get their first check within the first like 30, 60 days of starting their work. And so what I did is I went in and negotiated a high interest rate on the cash. And, you want to like do due diligence on the people. But I did a few of those and made a little bit more money to where I felt comfortable. Like now I'm going to pay the team out. Now I have enough money that I can continue doing these little small deals on my own. And then, at that point, I was like, okay, I'm ready to be an investor.
Yeah. Did you call yourself an investor like at that point?
Not at that point. No, I didn't call myself an investor until I think I made my first real estate investment, which was 14 townhomes. So when I secured the land on that deal, I was like, okay, I walked in the room and they're like, yeah, this is our investor. And I was like,
sweet.
I'm the investor.
I love that.
And so it was really interesting. And, my journey is also at that time, I sold my company and met my husband in the same year.
Okay.
And so my husband has a very big boy job. He is like got his shit so together, squeaky clean, very stable.
Yeah.
But it's not like I met him and I was like, do you want to invest in me? And like, that's fucking weird. Right. So I had to like get my ducks in a row.
You have to like come with something.
Yeah.
You're like, I gotta come to the table with
right. And plus it's like, he's in private equity. I mean, he's not specifically in private equity. He is at one of the big fours and then his sector is private equity. So he understands mergers and acquisitions. So me telling him that I just sold this company, it's like not like he's dealing with multi-million, billion-dollar deals every day. Like what I did, he's proud of me, but it's not like, he's like, okay, So I really had to I wanted him to believe in me as well. Right. And so when I had enough cash where I felt comfortable, like I sourced a few deals and I was like, hey, do you want to co-invest? in some of these. And here's what I can bring to the table. Like this deal, I would need like you to co-invest a third, or you like, let's go 50-50, and kind of just gave him some options and showed that I really did my homework on these things. We weren't even married at the time.
Wow.
And so I knew I was taking a risk. I'm like, he's either going to be like, okay, what are you here for? Or, so I might become like completely correct.
Right.
Because I also like was falling in love with this man and I didn't want to ruin my relationship. So I had to tell him that, like, I wanted him to the table with some things and you can just tell me no.
And if it's never, I still want to date you too. Like, I
never talk about this again. And at the first time we had that conversation, he was like, this is fucking weird. Like, I mean, like, I'll look at it, right? I don't think he was taking it seriously. And then when he finally looked at the deals, he's like, okay, you did bring some cool shit to the table. And that's when we actually decided to create our family office.
I love this. Okay. Yeah. There's so many little lessons in this because, dating or not dating, any type of partner, right?
Yeah.
What I heard from this was I had my shit together. I came to the table with a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to like look silly or look unprofessional. If I want to do business with someone, I'm going to come like all the way correct.
Right.
Right.
And he already thought that I had my shit. Like, even though like startup world is not like financially insecure where he was, but he had come to some things where I had been on a panel where like I had been featured on these things. Like, we were doing cool shit in the market where we were being recognized. And although I didn't have the exit I wanted, or like I was breaking the law, like all of these things that were coming to like actually happening, like he understood that it was just part of the startup environment. So he already respected me in that way where I wasn't coming in, like, this wasn't like, oh, I don't have anything going for myself. And now like, let's invest in these deals.
Right.
And also I did those small deals until I had enough capital to come back to him and say like, this is what I can do.
I think that's so important too, because now like you don't have to go after like the big shark. And in fact, you need to kind of like take some L's. You need to learn some lessons along the way. I always talk about how like life in any business experience really is. It's like steps on steps on steps and steps and steps. And so a lot of times when you see, okay, you said 14 or 16, townhomes or like mini apartments or whatever, right? Multifamily. It was all of those like little steps that you took along the way. It's those micro deals that you took. It was learning the lessons of like, oh my God, I'm not going to break the law on this one.
Right.
So I'm going to learn the things I need to learn so that when I do get to like the big one, that I'm prepared and I'm educated, or I know how to hire the right people, or I know who I need on my team to bring to the table. So I think that's so important. I love that you sort of like, it's really the journey of business ownership and entrepreneurship. So let's talk a little bit about that decision to invest or to become an investor, because I do say you were an investor back then when you were doing the small deals, even if they were little micro flips or whatever, that was still choosing to take your money and invest in someone else. How did that start? Like, where did that concept come from?
The peer-to-peer lending so I really had to dive into the market and do a lot of homework. And I just came out of a situation where I didn't do enough homework, right? So I had to be really intentional with this money. I also wanted to pay my team out. They had worked for 2.5 years. Like, we were making, like, we all had jobs, except for then I finally quit too early and all of those things happened. But most of them, it was like, I can pay you maybe like $500 this week, which was coming from my paycheck. And like, the company wasn't making any money, And so, and of course they all had equity and whatnot, which is what I wanted to pay them on. And so I really just had to dive in. And what I did is there are some different groups, like I think one is called the Republic, and I haven't looked at them in a while, but resources, right? Where investors would have these free video meetings and calls and things like informational stuff that you can get on. And like, it was just taking in so much information and learning about different types of deals. And it's funny because when I say now, like I was doing these small, like peer-to-peer lending deals, like there are platforms now for peer-to-peer lending. Like if you want to loan a small business, like you can get on this platform and you can find so many companies to potentially invest in and get interest and your money back.
Would you say that's a great starting point for someone who's maybe interested in dabbling into the investor world? Or where do you start? Like, where do you get started? Because I know you're doing big deals. I know you started with the peer-to-peer. So for someone who was interested in getting into this, where do they start?
So I would say definitely these platforms are very helpful. And I just want to make it very clear. I don't do any stock market investing. Like that's all my husband. He has a portfolio over there. I don't have time to even consider learning that.
Right.
Right. And so, no, I like these these platforms for that reason. So some of them like WeFunder, right?
Okay.
If you're interested in startup investing, you can go on there. You can see the traction. You can see what other people are investing in. You can invest as little as $100. And that gets you in the gate to see what their investor, updates look like, to see like, how is this investment going to move for me? You might be upset later that you didn't invest more, or you might lose the $100, but you have to be willing to do that. There are some that are now founded by women. One is called Cherub, where you can take, it's a little bit higher level, right? And so maybe the check size minimum there is $5,000, but it's like, okay, great. But now you're getting like, I just did an investment with them. I think I did 20,000. And I mean, it was an investment that they were going into a round that only was going to be exposed to really high net worth investors, where my check size I probably would have had to do 100,000. But because I was part of the Cherub group, they let us come in on a private round, and I was able to do 15. And it's a hair care company that you see in Sephora that and so I really was excited to make that investment. So I'm still part of these groups, these platforms. And I am no way saying that just because I've been in the game investing for 5 years that I'm a seasoned investor. I'm still making mistakes, but you have to jump in and take really small bites out of the apple until you start feeling comfortable in one specific industry. Even so much as like, if I'm going to be a startup investor, okay, what kind? Are you investing in tech? Are you investing in fintech, medtech, CPG? Like, what is it? Because I'm a startup investor and I'm not investing in tech very often. I do get on some medtech calls just because I think it's such a dated industry that there is going to be something really big that happens there. But I haven't even made a medtech investment because I haven't felt comfortable enough yet.
Talk about some of those resources in that you are the educational resources. So if I wanted to get started, or anyone watching or listening to this wanted to get started, where do you even go? Like, I'm on Google.
Yeah.
What do I type in?
I would type in crowdfunding platforms, because that's where you're going to find like the WeFunders, like Start Engines, like different platforms where you can find just deals. Like, part of being an investor is having a pipeline,
right?
And it's a numbers game. So if you get pitched 5 things a year and the ratio of success is like 20 investments in 1 win, like you're probably going to lose all 5 of those because you didn't have big enough deal flow. So I would start there. I would actually Google that. And
crowdfunding.
I love that. And start looking at deals, see what you're interested in. And then I would find, investor information or investor support or investor clubs. Like, every city has a local angel investor club. So we're in Charlotte right now. There's Charlotte Angels.
Okay.
Where my winery is headquartered in Denver, there's Denver Angels. Angel investors are like the first step of investors. They invest in early stage startups. They have a lot of resources. The one I named earlier, Republic, that website, I'm telling you, I would get on there and I would just be at the gym listening to their calls, the pre-recorded ones. And I would jot down or screenshot like every word or acronym, or like, you have to understand their language, or you're going to feel so uneducated and overwhelmed when you get on these calls. And so afterwards, I'd probably have like a list of 10 to 20 words that I'm just like looking up.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
Mom Juice.
Talk about Mom Juice.
Yeah. It's my favorite investment that you're in. And you're a co-founder and partner in this as well. But Mom Juice is...
Yeah. So we are a better for you wine. We have 4 main SKUs. So a Sauvignon Blanc, a Rosé, a Cab, and a red blend. I started my business partner now. I started just consulting her. I had seen her in the market doing some cool shit for other people. And when it was time for her to need a business partner, I was like, so like, what?
And wine?
Yeah, I know, and it is a very regulated industry, which I was like, okay, I've done this wrong before. Like, are we doing our homework? Like, what are the checks and balances here? So I felt really comfortable. I also have 4 kids, so it made sense.
I love the name Mom Juice.
Yeah, I couldn't even believe that name was available. Somehow it just kept coming back up in conversation when she was like developing the winery, just a concept. And it was like poking it over and over. And we're like, well, the trademark's available. Let's just trademark it in case. Then we made our first wine and we surveyed, I'd say 3,500 moms. And what was most important to them was a pretty label and high alcohol. Yeah, a pretty label and high alcohol content.
That sounds
okay.
Right.
So we made our first Pinot Grigio, and like the alcohol in that, I think it sat at 15%.
Oh my goodness.
Something crazy. It was so high, like legally you can play with it.
Oh my God.
Like,
Compared to like malt.
yeah, right. I know. And it was delicious. And I don't even drink white that often, but it was really good. And so we're like, this tastes like mom.
Mom juice. I was so going to say that. This is mom juice.
This is actually mom juice.
It's our juice.
Yes. And so we launched it into the world, and the moms were like, no, we need more. We want more.
And then you developed even more SKUs. And where can they find mom juice now?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So we do ship to over 40 states.
Okay.
And then we're distributed in North Carolina, Colorado, Tennessee. Next year in January, it's like South Carolina, Virginia, Illinois, Texas, Florida. But if you go to our website, like the easiest way to do this is type your zip code into our website. And it's going to populate. But if you're in North Carolina, you Target. We go into Food Lion in January.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in some big players. Total Wine in a lot of states. So.
Is that the goal? What's the plan and the goal for mom juice?
The plan and the goal for mom juice, it's really interesting, right? As an entrepreneur and just having a super candid conversation, the goal is always tied to something financial.
Right.
So any entrepreneur out here,
Thank you.
Yes,
Please, let's go here. Let's talk about
and when you're talking to investors, like they do want, it's like a weird balance of like, I'm here to solve a problem and I'm so passionate. I never want to sell this company. But if you invest, we have a 10x multiple for a possible exit, right?
Right.
It's so fucking weird. And so I like to say, like with my business partner, we're a really good equal balance because I saw the opportunity and I was like, yeah, I'm a mom. I live and breathe this shit every fucking day. So I'm like the stamp of approval with mom juice.
Right.
But like, have you seen the multiples on wine sales? Like our winemaker who makes our wine currently, he's part of our team since the beginning. He was on the team making the wine for Empathy Wines. They sold for $1.2 billion.
Right.
Like, so if you're sitting here and you ask me this question, like, bitch, that's the goal.
I'm going to get
right? Like, I need to see moms on yachts. Let's rock.
For sure.
So for me personally, I love the quality control behind our wine when we are marketing.
You say better for you. What does that mean?
So low sugar, gluten-free, vegetarian, less than 8 ingredients.
Ooh.
Ingredient transparency, which is crazy.
Okay.
I challenge anyone and everyone to go to a wine aisle and see how many ingredients you'll actually see on the back of the bottle. When we started this 5 years ago, we were one of like 3 in the United States.
Yes.
Now it's becoming apparent that the new consumer wants to see that.
I'm an avid wine drinker here, and I can only drink a certain tier of wine because low tier wine is filled with so much sugar.
Oh, yeah.
Carcinogenics.
Fish
They're bad things, right? And so I love this transparency that you're discussing.
Yeah.
It's so perfect.
So those things, like as we're building, are so important to me. We market to mothers.
I love it.
We care about what we put in our kids' bodies. We should care what we put in our bodies.
Right.
But the end goal for me in everything that I'm investing in and doing is to see more women check writers at the table.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. When I talk to people, when I'm talking to any entrepreneur who's really getting started, why? What are we doing it for? There has to be a why. There has to be a plan. Are you building it to sell it? Are you building it to pass it?
Yeah.
And it's got to be one of those, because if not, you're going to have a lack of a goal, lack of a plan, and you may be building to close it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think social media has such a big, oh my God, it's such a swayed view on entrepreneurship these days. If your goal is to build it to pass it, or if your goal is to have a really banging local bakery that's like killing this shit, 1 location, maybe 2 locations, like no investors, that is still success.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different goal and how they're going to feed their family, how they're like, what success looks like to you doesn't have to be, I just raised $1 bajillion and I'm going to sell this company and like sail around the world.
That's perfect. I think that's perfectly okay too. And I talk about this like with boutique owners who are just fashionistas and lovers of clothing. It's okay to have this amazing boutique that does great numbers for you.
Yeah.
It fuels your passion. It dresses you. It gives you the ability to go and like clothe other women. Why not?
Yes,
like that's still success.
You're passionate about fashion. You get to fly to New York, fly to probably Miami, like pick out all these clothes and buy for the store. Like sounds so fun to me.
So fun.
Yeah. So like success is different for everyone. And I've been for sure with social media, it's like everyone's an overnight success and everyone has to like close on this $bajillion deal. And like, that is not it for everyone.
I agree. Okay. So I like to ask this question to everyone who comes and sits with me. I like to ask two questions. The first question is, what is the very best decision that you made in business? You were like, hell yes, I crushed that. Oh man, that was a great deal. I'm like, yeah, I got it.
Let's see.
Is there like a really solid decision that you made or really solid investment where you were like, oh, my intuition, or you know what? Like, yeah, that was a smart decision.
I think right now, all of my passion and excitement is with mom juice. And so when I say, was it like my smartest investment? Like we haven't flipped it, right? But when I see the amount of women we're impacting and when I see our brand, I don't know, when is this going to launch? This show?
It's in the next like couple of weeks, probably.
Yeah. After January 8th?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So we go to American Airlines in January.
Okay.
And so when you see shit like
so by the time you watch this, she will now be in American Airlines.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. It will be our sister brand, our more exclusive, like KT Winery.
Yes.
So the Mom Juice brand is being evaluated to potentially go into main cabin next year. But things like that where it's like, this might not be like, the question is like, did you make the most money on this? Like, I believe I will make the most money off of this investment. And it's just so exciting, like to walk into Target and see something that like I helped develop from the very beginning on the show.
I love that.
To fly at American Airlines and to see our product for my children. Yeah. Right. They have seen our older kids, obviously not the 2-year-old, but they remember when this was an idea. They remember me coming down from the office and it's like, well, it was first, I'm going to invest in this company. And it wasn't even like, I'm waiting until we figure out what exactly it is. And then it was like, okay, mom juice is available. And then it's like, okay, one product, right? I have taken all of them on a business trip every summer solo by themselves. And so to see them, like when they came to our Target launch party, they're like, wow, they remember it. Yeah. When you guys were like peeling and sticking labels on, just like to see what it would look like. And so for me, like that is where I'm most excited right now. So that is what's keeping me going. I'd say that's success. Right. Like that's my biggest win right now. I'm so happy.
Awesome. That's so awesome. And I love that you even said, and it's not the biggest financial reward right now, though we can see what's coming down the pipeline.
Right.
But I mean, that's incredible. That's an incredible win. That's incredible success. If you ask me, making the decision to say hell yes and going all in on this product is so crucial. My second question for you is, what's that one thing you wish you would have done or known to someone who is just getting started, or they have this like big, hairy, crazy idea and they're ready to take that leap, but there is one thing that Macie could say, Mama Macie or Auntie Macie says, do what? Don't do this.
I just feel like there's so many things on this journey that are going to happen to you. And like, you can't take it personally. Right. Right. If I would have taken the fact that I didn't do enough due diligence on the first company, if I would have taken that to heart and let it stop me or even slow me down, I wouldn't be where I am today. And if you're a brand new entrepreneur, you need to you are waking up every day as a solutionist.
That's right.
And there are going to be 100 different problems thrown at you, and you just need to figure out how to solve them. And don't let the no's get you down. Don't let the mistakes get you down. You need to write them down so you don't ever forget.
That's right.
But you need to keep going. And I said this before, but your big break could be 24 hours away.
That's it.
And I truly believe that in my heart that, I don't have that mentality of I have shit days, don't get me wrong, where I need to just lay in the bed for a second, figure out my life, but it's like 24 hours and we got to cut it. So just go easy on yourself. take it at like, we're all out here learning. We are taking L's to get to a win. It's like, what do they say about customer service? It's like 10 no's equal 1 yes, or like bad reviews. And that's what it's like as an entrepreneur.
Right.
I had 20 fucking problems today, but I had one really big win. And that might be an investor check. It might be a move with a big retailer. It might be something that is going to just push my needle so much further that I have to focus on that win and not let any of this other stuff bog me down.
I love that. I think too, like one of the things that you're doing with Only Moms is really building this like collective.
Mm-hmm.
I think women, moms, investors, guys, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But people need a posse.
Yeah.
They need insider information from each other. Mm-hmm. They need peer-to-peer connectivity. That's the thing. You're doing that with Only Moms, right?
Yeah. Well, you knew this better than anyone. I mean, so much of what you're building is community,
right?
Product, whatever it is, like it is a community of people that you are solving a problem for, that you are making true connections with. And our product made such a great connection with these women when they would drink it, and the community we were building, they wanted more. And so we were like, well, they're asking for a podcast.
Okay.
And my business partner was like, she's like, first of all, you have the personality, bitch, and you're the mom. So you need to go sit on the couch and just record some episodes. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. But I'm actually now having fun with it. And like, it's okay to celebrate the chaos. It's okay to build a community and like really talk about it. I feel like something that's so great with you and your community is you do talk about the ugly conversations. You talk about the elephants in the room. And guess what? Every single day, I don't like or love like my kids. Like, not that I don't love them every single day, but I tell my husband, we have 4 kids. Someone's gonna ruin our day every day.
Yeah.
Like one of these motherfuckers is going to ruin our day today, and we just have to get over it, right? And so I think being able to have those conversations and kind of opening up the community to more vulnerability and ways to connect and not feel alone is really the goal with our podcast. And we have like, you know, I cuss, I talk about all the weird shit. So we're eating placentas or we're like doing.
I'm not going to be a part of that conversation. But okay. I took it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like it's just like the things that I felt like when I was listening to other parent podcasts, it was a little stuffy.
It is. Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. You said that life is short.
Yes.
It's meant to be abundant. It's meant to be fun. It doesn't have to be stuffy. And then I think too, when you like rip out that like everybody's perfect, I'm doing all the great things, and you start talking about like the reality of life and the mess ups and the challenges and the, oh my God, I really shit the bed on this one. It really opens up true conversation and the ability to like, okay, all right, well, that really sucked, but what are we doing to grow?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So what's next for you? You're doing all the things already. I don't know what could be next, but like,
next for me?
What are you really focusing on in 2025?
In 2025, I'm really focusing on my personal brand and being better with my personal brand to get out information like this, to teach other women, to support other women, to of course like pull more numbers for the podcast and like representation of the brand. But yeah, really like everything that I circle back to is how we're building Mom Juice, and that's really my biggest focus. And yeah, that's how I'm gonna keep trucking through 2025. I also have kids that are going to college in 2025.
Wow.
Our twins are going to college. So just
college bound and 2-year-old, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So you're,
So just also trying to be like the best mom and balancing everything and focusing on like when we become this like almost empty nest situation with only a 2-year-old that I'd like keep reminding myself I don't want another baby. So yeah, that.
That's so great. I love it. You're crushing it. And look, just think about it. Like if you wouldn't have chosen that entrepreneurship journey all those years ago, like you maybe, who knows where you'd be, but you definitely wouldn't be right here, right, Tom?
Right.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for being here.
Of course.
Yeah. She has the very best Instagram, the very best TikTok. Give a couple of little shout outs to the people, where they can follow you, where they can find you. It's become my favorite daily consumption. I only wish I could be as great as Macie.
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet.
Tell us where they can.
Yeah, so everything is really simple. Macie Mincey. So Macie Mincey. That is my Instagram and my TikTok. My website is maciemincy.com. My TikTok is mostly me torturing my husband, and then you get more like business bossy vibes on Instagram. But yeah, come check us out.
I love it. And mom juice.
Mom juice.
All the moms and non-moms can still drink mom juice.
Yes, we have rich auntie vibes coming in 2025. So all the other ladies that are not moms can partake in the fun.
That's fun. Great. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the High Achieving Female Podcast, powered by No, where we believe it's time for high achieving women like you to be seen, heard, and recognized. Until next time, remember, you deserve to be known.